Okay, so follow-up video to yesterday's video in which again talked about how regretful parents should attempt to speak up and attempt to convince other people to be more careful with who they have a child with. And yeah, upon giving it a bit more thought, I do think that an important distinction should be made in terms of, I do think that it's probably going to be more effective if they attempt to convey their regret for who they had a child with rather than regret for having the child in and of itself. I feel like they're probably going to have more luck in getting people to give more consideration to the act of reproduction in general by conveying the importance of picking your reproductive partner wisely and the often underestimated consequences of not doing that, not doing a good enough job of really weighing out those future consequences in regards to who you fuck around with. I mean, just, who you decide to get into relationships with and who you decide to just have sex with in general, unprotected sex in particular. But yeah, just attempting to convey those consequences specifically. I think that people will have more luck, maybe. An example I thought of was just many people don't really think about their prospective child's quality of life when it comes to picking their partners. They really don't. Most of it is unconscious. Most of it really is just very primal, sort of like, first couple of minutes of meeting someone and we're already thinking like, not I want to have a child with them, but we're thinking they would be fun to, most people do that. Most people make those decisions. It's not a conscious thing in terms of who we find sexually attractive. So I think many people do sort of just pick their partners on the basis of that, on very unconscious, superficial shit. And one thing that many people need to spend more time thinking of is, in terms of, again, the long term, do you want to have to see this motherfucker when you look into the eyes of your child, do you want to have to see this person? Because of course, genetics don't play, they're not the end all be all, but genetics do play a large role in who we are to eventually become and who we are, just as individuals. It's just the case. And many people don't really even think about, again, their prospective child's quality of life and how much that will be determined by who you have a child with. It's this obvious thing, but many people don't really care. And I don't know if it's just because they genuinely don't care about the suffering that their child will have to experience in their lives, or that they're just not thinking about it because they feel quite distant from it, because many people don't even really think too far ahead in terms of their own suffering that they will have to experience in the future as a result of certain consequences. I don't know if it's, but just attempting to convey, like, listen, this attraction that you have for this person is guaranteed to gradually diminish, and it will oftentimes be replaced by, so often it is replaced by feelings of disgust and resentment and all these very powerful emotions that many people harbor for this person that they're no longer with. And your child won't be a direct reflection of them, but odds are you will see them in the face of your child. And the behaviors of your child, all these characteristics that are determined by genetics, unfortunately, there's a decent chance that you will see much of this person that you loathe, that you have gradually come to loathe, in this person that you've created, that you've brought into existence. And that's a very serious thing. Just acknowledging that, these emotions that you feel in the initial early stages of this attraction, it's going to decrease over time. And just so often relationships end just so catastrophically. And you are going to, if you're going to have a child with someone, you're going to have to care for an extension of this person that you've gradually come to loathe in many cases. And I mean, this is, again, a very, very common catalyst, a common cause for very powerful feelings of parental regret and resentment and genuine disgust. Parents, so many parents feel genuine disgust towards their own children that they forced into existence, largely due to who they forced them into existence with. And it's also, I mean, self-hate is another very common catalyst for parental resentment and disgust felt towards their children, of course, because they feel such powerful feelings of hate towards themselves and feeling as though they are unworthy of happiness. And they force this onto their child. And it's oftentimes this just cycle, this just fucking endless generational cycle of self-hate and disgust. Parents who really just, again, have no business becoming a parent. They have all this trauma. They have all this shit that's unresolved. And they pass it on thoughtlessly to another human being. So they have to suffer with that. And many people don't even attempt to improve upon those things. It's a difficult process, of course. I mean, it's oftentimes, for many people, it may just be impossible. But many people don't even put in the effort to attempt to resolve traumas and, before having a child. Because again, many parents, I mean, many people just don't care about the qualities of life that their prospective children will have to suffer with and endure. It just becomes this generational cycle of, well, fuck them. My parents treated me like shit. They didn't give a fuck about my well-being. They didn't help to prepare me for the future. They said, so why should, my own child, fuck them. Let them suffer. It's their turn now. That's really the way in which so many people, and it's strange, it's hard to place blame on an individual when you recognize the causal nature of that cycle of just thoughtless affliction of suffering generation after generation. So much of it is just this vicious fucking cycle of shit just being tossed down at the next generation. And it's incredibly fatalistic, incredibly hopeless, and I think that's a very common. Many people who are antinatalists are people who have had to deal with shitty fucking parents and lots of generational trauma, and they're coming to this realization, well, I don't want to pass that fucking shit on. I recognize that I wouldn't be able to provide for my children what I feel that they deserve, that I wasn't able to get. So I'm not going to. And it has, it's far more than just that, obviously, but I do notice that many antinatalists do have this, their parents fucking sucked, and odds are their parents' fucking sucked, and got off track, very off track, Jesus Christ. But, yeah, attempting to convey, god damn. It's just, attempting to convey just how common that is, that you will gradually come to despise this other human being that you will recognize in the eyes of your own child. And this will cause, so often it causes this feeling of, festering resentment, hate. Hate is a fair word to use towards their own children that they've forced into existence with this person that they've come to hate. And they no longer have this person in their lives, that created this person with them, and they end up just treating this extension of this person that they had a child with the same amount of hate as they would treat that other person if they were still around. That's obviously a very simplistic description, but I mean, I think it does fit just, so many families, just countless. Just this constant cycle of, well, fuck them. I got fucked over, so fuck them. So much of the suffering on this planet is just recycled. Again, very simplistic to claim, but so much of it is just recycled suffering. It's just that's what I got. Whether I was deserving of it, I don't know, but I'm going to continue to inflict it. I'm not going to attempt to solve the problem, I'm just going to pass it on. And I'm going to pass it on with another human being that I barely even know, that I will, odds are, gradually come to despise. That is the origin of many human beings. And it's bad. It's a bad thing. Another ranting video, but